Hey folks, welcome back to Wild West Barbecue. Today we're going to smoke some salt. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I finally picked up some salt to try it with. So we're going to go ahead and give it a shot today. I'm going to go ahead and use the 14-inch Hover Smoky Mountain. I don't need any of the big smokers for this one, just a nice small smoke. I'm going to use mesquite wood. I want a nice, strong, smoky flavor on that. And I'm going to shoot to run about 250 degrees for around 4 hours or so for this cook. So I'm going to take you guys inside. I'll show you what salt we're going to use and how I'm going to get it prepped for the smoker, and then we'll get the smoker up and running. Alright, so we're going to put the salt on this pan. Slight change of plans. I'll be using 18.5-inch smoker. Turns out this pan is too big for the 14-inch. I thought it would fit, but it's not going to. Obviously, this pan has some holes in it, so we're going to go ahead and simply cover this with some foil. I don't want the salt falling through those holes in the pan. Let's get that covered. And I've got some Himalayan pink salt here that we're going to go ahead and use. We're just going to go ahead and get a nice layer put on here. And we're going to go ahead and get this smoked up and see how it comes out. So once the smoker's up to temp, I'll bring you guys on back and tell you how this all came out. Alright, we got the smoker up to temp. It's about 225 degrees at the dome. Obviously a little different down here at grate level. But up here, it's about 225. So go ahead and put the salt in there. We're chugging away nicely. I'm using three chunks of mesquite wood on top of some Jealous Devil lump charcoal. The lump charcoal is new for me. I've used it a few times. It's still got a bit of learning curve to it as to managing the heat from that. I'm used to using Kingsford charcoal briquettes, so lump charcoal is a whole different ball game. But so far I've been really enjoying it. We're going to see how it goes. So, it's going to take about 4 hours or so for this to smoke, so I'll bring you guys on back after we're done and let you know how it turned out. Okay, it's been 4 hours. The salt is cooked. It's got, I don't know if you guys can pick this up in the camera now, it's got a much darker color now than pre-smoking, which you'd expect, but it's definitely darker than before. It's still really warm. I just took it out of the smoker, but I tasted a few grains of it. It's pretty good so far. I'm going to go ahead and cook some popcorn and try it on those and let you guys know what I think about it after that. Okay, I've tried the salt and some popcorn, and honestly, I couldn't tell much difference between this salt and regular salt. I just tasted like salt. I didn't taste a whole lot of smoke on there. I never stirred it for the whole 4 hours. Maybe I probably should have gone out and stirred it around some, but I didn't. But overall, I didn't taste a whole lot of smoke in the salt. So, yeah, I'm not real sure about this. If I do it again in the future, I'll definitely go out and stir the salt around a little bit. If you try it, definitely do that. But I'm not tasting much smoke on the salt with this, so this cook's kind of a it's not the best cook in the world, but yeah, the salt's still edible. That's all I care about. So I'll definitely eat it, but I'm just not tasting a whole lot of smoke in this one. So in terms of getting smoke into this salt, it's kind of a failure, but that's all right. It happens. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It helps other viewers find my content. Until next time, guys. Okay, so it's tomorrow now, and I think I figured out why I didn't have as much of a smoky flavor on my salt as I would have liked. It has to do with a couple of reasons. When I went out last night, after I shut the smoker down, I was pulling out my charcoal to save it for next cook, and I found my wood chunks. This wood chunk got used up nicely, as you can tell, but the other two were hardly even touched. They didn't hardly get burned at all. And I think that's why I didn't have nearly as much of a smoky flavor as I was anticipating. I think this happened for two reasons. The first one is I always put my wood chunks around the perimeter of my charcoal ring towards the vents. And with Kingsford, that's usually fine. I am confident that if I'd used Kingsford briquettes, all three of those chunks would have been burned very similarly to this one. But I was using the Jealous Devil lump, which, as I stated, I'm not real familiar with yet, and I've read on the internet it burns hot, so I purposely started with fewer lit coals than I would have with, say, Kingsford, And that worked out great. I think my average temperature was around 247 when I was shooting for 250, so that worked out fine. But I didn't have a whole lot of coals to start with. I just dumped them in the middle. They weren't really on top of any of my wood chunks, and so only one of those wood chunks got burned. And I think the other reason why only one got burned is because I have taken to using only one of my bottom vents to control my temperature. That's all I need, so that's all I use. But that means I'm only getting airflow through the one vent, and this piece of wood was the one positioned near that vent. So either if I'd moved my wood to the center for this, or if I'd used all three vents, I think I'd have been fine. But I didn't, and I think this is why I didn't get as much of a smoky flavor on my salt as I was expecting. So maybe it's not quite as much of a failure as I thought this cook was. So once I'm through with all this salt, it'll probably take 4 or 5 months because my wife doesn't really eat it. I'm the only one that does. But once I get through that whole salt shaker, I'll probably try this again and make some adjustments to how my wood's placed so I can make sure I get all the wood going and get all the smoke I want. So, that's it for this cook, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next time.